If you like banana nut bread, try adding some cranberries to it. You will absolutely love the flavor of this bread. Not only that, it is a super simple recipe to make. You can even put it in a blender if you like, but if you do it that route, you will get a slightly cakey texture, which actually is not a bad thing. However, this is such a simple recipe, we can make it by hand without even a machine, and I'm going to show you how today. Let's get that oven preheated and ready to go while we get our ingredients together. You're going to need a loaf pan. I'm using a 9 by 5 by 3, and I am using a piece of parchment paper, even if it is nonstick, to ensure this bread comes out, because oil-based quick breads tend to stick no matter what you do. If you don't have a nonstick pan, at least flour and grease it well. Dried cranberries tend to stick together and they tend to sink, so we are going to coat our cranberries and chopped nuts together with a little bit of the flour from our recipe. Now you can toss this or you can just stir it with a fork like so until it looks like this, and now you can see that they are separating easily. This will make it distribute better within the bread. Oh my goodness, y'all, you're about to see why I don't use glass that often. You want to mix salt and baking powder into your flour. Try not to drop the glass into your bowl, and then you're going to mix it briefly until it is incorporated. Of course, I have to clean up my mess first and pick my pride up off the floor. It's okay. Kitchens are about making messes. You just got to clean up after you're done. Stir it briefly, and then we're going to talk about these bananas. You want some that are speckled like this, but not too dark. It will give you a nice sweet taste and a pleasant banana flavor. The darker they are, the more sugar content is in them. You'll know they're about right when they just kind of peel right off and you don't even have to really try to get that peel off the banana. Now again, I am dropping things. I'm telling you, I'm having a really bad day, but this was such a great loaf of bread, I'm going to share it with you guys anyway. And also to show you that you can have problems with your hands and still bake in the kitchen. There is a misconception if you have arthritis, you have to give up baking. Maggie wanted a piece of banana, so I'm going to oblige, and I know that Raymond and Jackson will follow any moment now, so I'm setting aside a piece. And sure enough, here they come. There is Raymond, y'all. Maggie wants some more, and here comes little Jackson in the background. You should see him any second. There he is, see his little ears. It is just a wonderful bread to share with everyone. However, hands ain't safe for dogs, so that's why I'm sharing the bananas with them right now. You want to mash this with a fork until you get the consistency you like. If you wanted to have a real smooth, creamy texture, you could put it even in the blender until it's completely smooth. However, I will tell you that I like the texture of the mashed bananas for this bread because it just goes really well with the nuts and the cranberries in the end. When it comes to bananas, you want it to still have some give to it. If you get those bananas that are really just mushy and they fall apart on you, they're just not as good in a banana bread. It has a gluey texture in the end, and that has to do with the sugar to banana ratio. And if you ever do get that consistency, you can still use it, but I would reduce your sugar at least a half a cup, because if not, you're going to be very unpleased with the results. Also, if it's that mushy, I just kind of recommend doing a different recipe, maybe some banana muffins, as they don't tend to collapse and get gluey in the bowl. Next, we're going to add in our eggs and we're going to mix it with some oil. And you're just going to stir this together until it is well incorporated. It doesn't take long at all. Add you in some sugar, and you can use brown and white, or you can just use all white, all brown, a mixture of the two. Here I'm using about 1/3 brown to 2/3 white, and it's just a flavor preference. If you want some smokiness to it, use all brown. It's absolutely beautiful. Then you're going to add in that flour mixture and stir it until it's a very thick batter. It doesn't take long to put this bread together. I'm pretty sure that's why they call it a quick bread, maybe about 5 minutes from start to finish. You want it to be a thick batter like this, and then fold in those pecans and cranberries. Or do you call them pecans? I'm really curious about that. Either way you call them, you fold them in until they're really nice and incorporated, and then you're just going to pour this into your pan, and you want to bake this from 75 to 85 minutes. I know it's a very long time, but it's a very tall loaf. Or until a toothpick comes out clean, the top of it's cracked, and it's a nice golden brown. It will look a lot like this when you're done, and it's absolutely beautiful. You need to let it sit for a few moments before you try to remove it from your pan. Also, don't worry if it sticks to the sides. That is normal for this bread. Just make sure if you're using a nonstick pan to get something plastic to take it out of the pan. I use a spatula and just release it. You just want to slide it down in the sides and it should release. If you had greased and floured this well, you wouldn't have this problem, but I thought I would just use parchment and everything would be all right. Now, because I did use parchment, it comes out and I didn't ruin the bottom of my loaf. It still looks very pretty. Remove that parchment sling if you used one and go ahead and let this cool completely before you cut into it. It is a wonderful loaf of bread to share. If you wanted to, you could make this into 2 loaves, bake it for about 50 minutes, and share one with a neighbor or a friend. Maggie is just loving the smell of this bread and she wishes she could have some, but pecans are not safe for dogs. Remember that. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Here are your ingredients if you want to follow along. Thank you for visiting jacksonsjob.com, and as always, happy baking.